My name is Christoph Poropatits. Hello. My Polish sucks, so I'll do this in English. It sucks so much that I don't speak it at all. My name is Christoph Poropatits, as I believe I was introduced as Executive Vice President at Mediacraft. I'm responsible there for broadcasting, operations, platforms, and partner management. And today I want to talk to you about what Mediacraft Networks is, what industry we are in, which is online video, and why the industry is so fascinating. Because we're seeing a change, a shift in an entire consumer behavior from linear television to interactive and constantly exchanging yourself with others via the medium video. But first, I would like to get you involved as well, because this is kind of what we do with online video. Raise of hands from everyone, please. Just raise your hands in the beginning, and I'll ask a few questions to gauge the interest. So, who has ever watched a YouTube video before? All right, good. Who has watched a YouTube video this week? All right, excellent. And then, who has their own YouTube channel or has ever uploaded a video to YouTube? Okay, that's a little bit less. Other platforms. So there's other online video platforms out there. Who uses other video platforms on a regular basis? Okay, 3. And who catches themselves actually watching videos on a regular basis on a mobile phone or a tablet? Okay, good. This is exactly what we're going to talk about, because just think back 5 years and you probably didn't watch it on a mobile phone. Simply because broadband wasn't cheap enough, because you maybe didn't have a smartphone, or because the content just didn't work out for you. Nobody created content and distributed online. Okay, so let me get to the first slide. How do I click? Just go up to the laptop, or?
There is a clicker.
Is it a clicker? Is it this one? Yeah.
Was.
Oh, there, maybe. Is that it? No. I'll just do it from upstairs. I think that's fine. There. This is to set the scenery. This is the branch, the industry that we're working in. Mediacraft is a German-based company. Therefore, a lot of the statistics and a lot of the examples that I will bring up are Germany-based. But this applies to the Polish market as much as it does to the US, to the UK, to the French, and to any of the other markets that have high penetration of broadband video and where YouTube or other online video platforms are launched. This is the scenario. In 2014, 94 of the 14 to 29-year-olds, so we're mostly speaking about a very young audience, regularly watch videos online, and 32% of them on a daily basis. Assuming the raise of hands that I saw earlier, you are all quite young. So each and every one of you must be below 30, apparently. In television minutes watched, that means 134 minutes of television, linear television program is being watched by that age group on a daily basis. A lot of minutes. But that number has gone down last year by 5%. And in just 1 year, those 5% is an awful lot of minutes if you just calculate how many young people there are and how much advertising money that is now not being spent on television, but in online television. If you compare that with online video, in 2013, there were 27 minutes of content within that demographic, 14 to 29-year-olds, being watched online. In just 1 year, so 2014, 32 minutes. So an increase in 19% was being watched online. This is a phenomenon, again, that does not only apply to the German market, but to anywhere you look when it comes to video consumption in a young demographic age, or age demographic. And let me give you an example of what type of content this is we're talking about. So this channel here is Polish. I edited the slides today to have at least one Polish example in there. Susa Banche has a youth comedy channel. It's a category entertainment. She has 175,000, or roughly 175,000 subscribers. Why am I putting this number, 175,000, up there? Because in today's world, a follower or a subscriber is a virtual currency. This translates into impressions per month, per week, per day, which then again translates into advertising impressions, which then again translates into advertising budgets, and therefore cash earned by the creator and by everybody else in the ecosystem. So the 175,000 subscribers should give you a pretty good indication of what it is, how big the fan base is of this particular creator, of Susa. And with that, with her content, she obtains about 5 million monthly impressions, which is quite impressive, which is also really good for Polish creators right now. But this is now where Mediacraft comes in. We help her, as well as dozens of other creators, to professionalize their craft, to actually think about themselves as producers, that production needs investment, that they need a team to support them, to upload on a more regular basis. And Mediacraft is exactly that company. We come in and bring creators together, and we introduce them to artist managers, we help them with daily and weekly productions, and we also help market them at a premium price because their content turns from amateur-like content into professional content, and therefore is more valuable and can be sold more expensively. Usually the next question is, but yeah, this content works well for a young audience, but don't you think that as with any boy group phenomenon or fandom phenomenon, this will kind of decline every once in a while? There's always a youth hype and it'll go down again. Of course, this is something that we asked ourselves in the first couple of months as well, but we see that over the last years, and particularly over the last couple of months, the view growth has actually only gone up and up and up. And the content of the quality of the content is also just increasingly getting better and better, because we're introducing formats that work really well on television already, but we're translating them into an online context. So now we actually take a new format that speaks to the young audience, make a couple of adjustments, youth language, quicker edits, and all of a sudden news also works not only just on television in a classical format, but also online. If we have internet here, we can try, otherwise we'll just jump back. No, we'll just leave it. I would have a couple of impressions. So this is a video. If you want to, we can share the link to this video later on. It'll give you an impression of how big this industry has actually become. You would see 15,000 kids within an arena that are celebrating an entire weekend with their stars, and their stars were just a few months or years ago completely unknown. This event actually happened in August. There's plenty of these events around the globe. They're mostly by now already organized on a language basis. So there's one really, really big one. Next year, probably 3 big ones in Germany. There's 2 in the UK, then 2 or 3 in the US. Poland will actually already has these very and still cozy, smaller fan gatherings too. But we will see much larger ones in the future, I'm very sure. Now, let's go back to Mediacraft and the business model. I always get the question, what is it exactly that you do? I already answered this. We bring creators together, help them develop formats, and then monetize. But what are you really? Because what does YouTube do then in comparison to what do your partners do? And why don't you just take over the entire production? And then I point them to this model because it's a very good comparison, and I think it's easily understandable for everyone. If you think of traditional TV, not everyone is doing everything. So distribution, which in television terms is satellite or cable, in an online world is YouTube or Onet or Yahoo for us. It's just over IP. Broadcasting networks is then where you have TVN, for instance. Not the channel, not TVN 1 or 2 or 3 and Kultura and all the other names, but the actual group. The TVN group is the broadcasting network. This is what Mediacraft is. Now then there's stations or channels. Now this is where you have on the one side TVN 1, TVN 2, Kultura and sports channels and so forth. Well, with Mediacraft you have a comedy net, for instance, or Funcraft, and we bring program together in these channels, in these stations, or also called networks. So it's not just a network on top, but there's individual networks. And then if you think about, again, television, you tune in at a certain time, which is, in my eyes, a disadvantage. You have to tune in at a certain time to watch a particular format. Now, these formats also exist, of course, in online television, and that's why we have different partnerships with our content-producing partners. Just to give you a comparison to understand what the business model of our company is. Now, why do we know it's the future? I've used this slide as the very first slide earlier because this is the current consumption of the online video content. It's not even desktops anymore where people spend most of the time if they're in the office, but it's mostly tablets and mobile. It's the philosophy that I can consume whatever I want at whatever time I want, and I can pick it myself. I'll be my own editorial chief. I don't need anybody else to curate my stuff. I will listen to other people, what they're watching, and be influenced, but at the end of the day, I'm making this decision when and what I want to watch. And you can see that because the tablet and the mobile is not the stuff that where you would have anybody else dictate what you can consume. To give you an indication of where the numbers are going, because you don't see any errors on this, or arrows on this slide, mobile and tablet used to be in one category, and they used to be 50% just a year ago. Now they're already at 64%. There's 1% missing, by the way. That's others, if you do the math. Tablet and mobile are also both growing. On top of that, if you think about consoles, you can watch online videos via gaming consoles these days, and television are still missing on the slide. There are also categories that are still in the one-digit area in general, but growing rapidly. The computer, of course, the desktop computer, this here as a watching device is decreasing. Now, what type of categories or networks or verticals or whatever you want to call it do we have? It's actually quite similar to what humanity has always loved watching. So it's a bit of comedy. I want to be entertained. It's a bit of sports. I like to be athletic. And I like to watch how to be athletic, and I also enjoy watching people compete. It's a bit of gaming, so again, entertaining. It's a bit of news. I want to be informed. It's a bit of beauty, fashion, and lifestyle. This in particular works very well with a female audience, where they feel left out maybe from the gaming or the sports section. They then enjoy sharing their experience, their lifestyle, their tips, their beauty advice with others, and also like to watch it. And then we have, and this is now particular to Mediacraft, we have our international markets. You can see that we subsumed them all in one bucket for this slide. But Poland is doing a really good job, and at this point I would actually like to mention Ryan Sokash, who's here with me today. He's our country manager, so if you want to have a conversation with us, we're both here. So those are the areas. No questions about this. What do? We help our partners with technical content support, analysis. We tell them exactly when people start watching a video and when it is that they drop off. So within a 3-minute video, we can pinpoint to 1 minute and 58 seconds, and then say what happened here. And then we'll watch the content and we'll tell them next time around you need to change that. This is immediate feedback that television can't give because it depends on panels and on research that usually comes a day or a week late. We provide them with workshops with all the learnings that we've had, marketing and sales, market their content as well. The online world is a very confusing place when it comes to rights management, so we help them with that, all the way to legal support and lawyers if required, production resources, and artist management as well. Where will this lead? As you could imagine, it takes a while to get advertising budgets to shift from one industry to the next. That was the case with print to radio, from radio to television. Now television is the biggest thing. Outdoor is still out there as well. And then Google entered the market and said, we have online as well. Give us some budgets. Now the companies that advertise have a whole selection of areas that they can invest their money in for marketing their products or services. We want some of that money as well. As you can imagine, it doesn't go super rapidly from one day to the next. But what they already want to know, and what those brands, those finished goods, fast-moving consumer goods brands, for instance, really like is, or don't want to miss, is the boat. They don't want to missing anything in comparison to their competitors. Now this is why Saturn, which is a huge electronics chain, I'm not sure if it exists here as well, approached us and said, hey guys, we know that our core demographic, our core buyers are quite young. They're tech savvy, they want to have the latest watch, they want to have the latest television, they get informed, they inform themselves on a regular basis, mostly through the internet. And we're still spending our money in television budgets. We want to know where our audience is, where our buyers are, and where the next generation of buyers will come from. So we told them, why don't you just make a channel and we'll help you create that channel online for online videos, and you can make the experience yourself. So what we did in this example, it's called branded entertainment. And Red Bull, for instance, is also very successful at it. They make content, and with that content, they interact with their buyers. And they don't make content in a way that an infomercial would, so saying, use this product, for instance, but they would say, this is a product review, honest feedback, this is all of the stuff that we're getting in from all of the different brands as an electronics chain. This is the Nike Fuel watch, and an Adidas watch, and an Apple watch, and so forth. And this is what we think about them. They can do that. Or they will just get talent sponsored by us that we get into the new Saturn or electronics chain channel. And then there's a huge portion of cross-promotion in the entire deal. So this is what advertisers are really willing to pay money for, and what we're also helping them in being successful. In case you were wondering about our history and how we make our living, Mediacraft was founded just over 3 years ago. We started off very small, just a little beginners group, added more partners, added more people to the team, started our own original channels. Then we are a venture capital-backed company. So we had our first investor in 2012. Then this year in the summertime, we added another investment round. And now we are Germany's #1 network, among the top 5 in Europe. We have over 400 million monthly impressions. This is all of our partners together, 2,500 of them and more and counting. Currently, 160 employees, and we do have offices here in Warsaw, on Nowy Swiat, but also in Germany, in Amsterdam, and in Istanbul, in Turkey. Just one more thing, and this is because I was told that this is a quite illustrious round of entrepreneurs, people that are familiar with venture capital and understand what's going on. This is our industry right now, and those are our competitors. We had this research done once. Within the last 2 years, 2.5 years, lots of money from institutional companies, from all sorts of sectors, invested into our industry, simply because they believe, just as we believe, that the future of online television, of online videos, can be worked in the way that we as a company operate. So Yahoo, for instance, Google as well, a couple of other institutional publishing companies, but even companies like Disney, invested in, to whatever extent, the business model that we're operating in. And interest usually comes from exactly 5 different areas, so either broadcasters or music publishing. Then, of course, from the internet area and digital, from Netflix, Google, all the way to Amazon and so forth. And then we have television and a small category of others, so also cable and telecom companies. Okay, that is actually my main presentation. I would have a few more slides, but what I usually like to do is just have an open FAQ or a question and answer session. So let's just give it a try. Does anybody have a question? Sorry? There was one remark at least. No. Either you're all very tired, all very shy.
Your presentation is 8 today.
I'm the 8th presentation. The 8th best or the 8th in a row?
We'll see.
We'll see. Okay. Well, we can cut this short here. If are there no more questions? Was I too?
How much money do you make for your clients?
How much money do we make for our clients? There we go. There's the first question. And a tough one.
How much your clients are making, with that cooperation with your company?
Okay. So, just in case in the back rows you didn't hear, how much money do our clients make with us or partnering with us? It's a difficult question to answer because, of course, we will not tell everyone what the paychecks of our employees or of our business partners are. But let me phrase it like this. If you start a YouTube channel with roughly 1,000, 5,000 subscribers and you have tens of thousands of impressions, so paid clicks or paid impressions, then you can probably make enough money here if you have a Polish audience You can probably make enough money to afford the next video. It's a paid hobby, it's good, but you wouldn't quit your day job yet. If you get this to about 50,000 subscribers or more, then you can actually make a humble living off of it. And we will help you get from those 1,000, 5,000 subscribers and 10,000 views to 100,000 or 1 million or 5 million or 10 million views a month. And with that help, you can then actually make is the difference between making a living and not making a living, or even making a living plus for 2 or 3 other people, and basically having your own production team or your own staff that you can hire for your production as well. So you won't make the millions quite yet, but you can make a living.
So tell us, Christoph, how to become a YouTube star. Just a few hints.
How to become a YouTube star? Well, you've got to be authentic. Most of them are loud. And with loud, I mean not the voice itself, but just outgoing, extroverted, talking, always in an interaction with their fans, with their audience. You got to be interesting, and whatever you're saying or doing needs to be interesting as well. So it doesn't matter what your format is, whether you want to inform, whether you're doing news, or whether you're doing sketches and street comedy, or whether you're applying makeup in front of a mirror and you're filming that. People like watching this content, by the way. So no matter what the content is, you gotta be out there. You've gotta be entertaining, funny, interesting, and authentic, and talkative, and then it'll work. It's as simple as that.
What formats are the most popular?
The most popular formats are actually the ones that I just mentioned. So a bit of street comedy and comedy in general. That can be scripted or non-scripted. So going out on the street and making fun of other people, as long as it's not too edgy, can be very successful. But of course it can also be sports. It can be beauty and fashion topics, but it could also be news. So if you're so interesting as a personality that the way you're speaking about the news today is more authentic to your audience than anybody else's, than your 8 o'clock news, then you will be the main news program. Look at Jon Stewart. His content really, really works well. And the only reason why he's not online yet is because his company sued all different platform operators, Viacom, that just prevents him from it.
Only YouTube or any other platforms also?
Well, YouTube in Poland has the biggest market share.
In terms of the future?
In most other developed markets, it's the same case. The market share is actually really quite big. I know that we had somebody from Google here today, right? And I'm a former Google employee myself, so they might not like me saying that or hearing that themselves, but the competition isn't sleeping. I think they know. I think that Google knows. The biggest threat to a, how should I say it, for a very strong growing company, this might now be a bit of a long stretch, but the biggest threat to an established brand like YouTube or company like YouTube is a smaller company, a startup that has a completely new idea and has less bureaucracy. And I think that we might be seeing the one or the other interesting startup that is built on Amazon's platform, on Amazon's server infrastructure, and then get out there. And maybe have a mobile approach or a better social interaction, or maybe in-app purchases, which you can't do on the YouTube app right now. I mean, there's tons of different ways of who could be severe competition to YouTube. But I mean, all of this is speculation, and we as Mediacraft want to be prepared for all of the different business partners that we want to be working with. So we as the very first slide said, we have the stars, we build the brands. We want to continue doing that no matter on what platform our brands, our stars reach their audience.
Are you going to open your headquarters in Poland? Do you think this market will work?
I think that
Mediacraft headquarters?
I think that the Polish market is amazing, quite frankly. There's a lot of potential simply because the internet infrastructure works really, really well. I mean, as in every EU country, there's room for improvement here as well. But it's comparatively, it's really, really good. Speeds are fine. And I think that we are here just at the tip of something big. I think that the young audience, the young generation is now growing up with the internet in their palms. And television hasn't even been as big and as established as for instance, in the US or in Germany for as long. So the tradition hasn't been that deeply ingrained. So I love coming to Poland. I think it's a really great market with a lot of potential. And I hope that the advertising industry, the production community see that just the same way.
Good question. How do you get the subscribers? How do you promote your brands or stars to the network?
Yeah. How do we get the subscribers? So the subscribers themselves it's click and it's for free. But how do we get the people to click?
Yes.
How do we do the marketing? Yeah.
Yes.
We use social media as a main instrument for marketing. So we encourage company internal, our partners and everyone else to actually speak to an audience and then therefore use a word of mouth marketing via free means. So basically it's just a lot of time that is consumed. And publish things, promotions, trailers on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on any social platform, and then also collaborate with others. So if there's an inherent audience, an endemic audience already, you want to be working with somebody else as well, because some of these other audience might like your format as well, and then they'll watch both. Because what you're competing for is not their audience and then they'll leave, which would be the case with television because you only have a limited amount of time, but you're competing for airtime. So you get your friends to work with you together, collaborate together, then their audience will become yours, and vice versa. These two things, so social media, cross-promotion, and collaborations are the two main things.
What's your share of the profit?
We have a philosophy that says that whenever we start working with creators, we don't want to just immediately take part of the share, because we think that they've earned, or they have worked hard to earn where they were when they started working with us, so we don't want to enrich ourselves with that. But then whatever growth we add, we take a certain percentage, and the certain percentage is individually negotiable. So there you have my answer. That's good. Thank you very much.